Are you stressing out? It's a week out from your exam and you've never taken an AP test before? That was me a year ago. When I took AP Human Geography, it was my first AP exam ever, and my first AP class for that matter. And I didn't know what to do for an AP exam because I never took one before. Don't worry, today we're gonna go over everything that you will need to get a 5 and how I got a 5 on the AP Human Geography exam. We're gonna hit the ground running and say that only 17.9% of students made a 5 in 2024. This exam is not difficult by any means. The reason that so many people score so low is because it's their first AP and they don't have the skills, or they go into this class thinking that it's going to be simple and they don't take the notes or the effort to actually make a difference in their grade and get a good score on this exam. Or maybe you are good at this class and you are studying, but then you put it off, became lazy, and now your test is tomorrow and you don't know how to do anything. I'm going to be giving you guys my best tips on how I scored a 5. So starting off quick, this exam is mainly vocab. It is a test of memory. If you don't know the key vocab word in the question, you are not getting the answer. There is no educated guessing on this test. I mean, there is, but on only, I would say, about 20% of questions. Start by going over every single unit and looking at the vocab. Once you make a list of the vocab, go through it and pick the ones that you know and that you don't. You are your own worst enemy. Don't look at it and say, I kind of know it. No, you either know it all the way, you can explain everything about it, or you don't. If you don't, or you only have kind of a hunch of what it means, save it as the one that you don't know and find the definition. Don't only find the definition, but learn what it means relating to everything else in the course. Some words such as HDI, GDP, Malthusian, these words, if you are taking the class, you know them. They are not just a definition, they relate to so many other things. For example, HDI stands for Human Development Index. Look at the countries that have the highest one. Look at the countries that have the lowest one. Look at what makes a country have a high one. Look at parts of the world. This is an important one. You're gonna wanna conceptualize parts of the world and put them into groups, because many questions ask questions about different parts of the world, comparing countries, regions, etc., and not giving any background on them. For example, you might get an answer comparing China to Russia. It's not gonna give you any information. You're just gonna have to know it. Think about it like this. Conceptualize the world and research about it based on its city models, GDP, HDI, all of these different things that you have learned, see what kind of economy it is, etc. North America, South America, Western Europe, Eastern Europe, Africa, Australia, the Middle East, East Asia, South Asia, and Southeast Asia. These are your main regions. The reason that there are so many for Asia is because they also each have different economies, GDPs, etc. And also remember, there's always crazy things happening in the Middle East. It's very unstable. So if you get a question about that, remember that it is an unstable region. Once you've memorized your vocab and it is solidified in your brain, what you're gonna do is you're gonna go and review the other part of this test, which is analyzing pictures and graphs, as well as models, data models. You're gonna have to know what each thing is and what it represents. So know your population pyramids, know your city models, know your civilization models. I forgot the exact word, but clustered, linear, etc. If you're in the class, you know it. Go over these and practice labeling what they are. Once you have reviewed absolutely everything, remember, reviewing is not passively studying. It's not looking over notes, watching videos, etc. It is actively doing things. For a little bit more help about the content and context of all of this, you may be asking, Noelle, what kind of textbooks or videos should I watch? The textbook that helped me the most was provided from my school for each student, and it was titled The National Geographic: A Spatial Perspective. This book was honestly so fun to read. It was just really easy to read, had lots of diagrams, lots of pictures, was colorful. It was like the perfect textbook. I honestly read it for fun, and I think you can get your hands on it. Please get it. By all means, please get it. It was so helpful in the exam studying process. If you like to watch videos, remember to also use your textbook, but if you like supplemental videos, there is a teacher online named Mr. Sin, but I've heard that he is by far one of the best at teaching human geography. I watch him for my AP psychology, and he does really intensive and detailed comprehensive reviews for each unit and for the exam. So I would go ahead and check him out. If you are looking for more in-depth practice and actually looking looking at the mechanics of the exam. You've never taken an AP test before, you don't know the mechanics of an exam. It is very important to know the mechanics of the exam itself. The Princeton review, I got it for AP Psychology, and it is one of the most helpful books. I honestly wish that I did get it for Human Geography. It would make it so much easier. But it's basically a big, thick book, including comprehensive reviews, a review on all the material, full-length practice tests, and test-taking methods. As you can see, it is a huge book filled with information, and at the end there are practice tests. So for example, this one says practice test 3. It's an entire full-length test, very similar to college boards. It's not only multiple choice, it's also free response. And when you are done with this test, at the end it has all the answers, and not only the answers, but with thorough explanations. For example, there is the answer key, but then for each individual question, there is an entire explanation relating to the units, relating to why that is the answer. It's so important when taking tests, or for anything for that matter, to know why you got something wrong, not just know that it is wrong or know what the right answer is. You have to know what makes something right and what makes something wrong so that you can prevent it in the future. So reading over what you got wrong, and even reading over what you got right, it's important to know why you got something right. So what unit did this relate to? What skill did this relate to? Go through each of those, and these can get pretty long as well. I mean, look at this one. Do you see these explanations? Look at this one. They're actually like ginormous explanations. That's what's one of the most important factors about that book. It has full-length practice tests. Actually practicing the test for not only speed, getting good at the actual test-taking environment, and testing your knowledge actively, those 3 things are so beneficial when it comes to studying for the exam and getting a 5 on it. Actively studying is the best way to study. You are your worst enemy. You can't passively read through notes, watch videos, think that you're learning something without actually putting your knowledge to the test. For example, in math, how do you know that you can do the math equation if you don't practice? Practice multiple of these tests throughout the weeks, and even more leading up to your exam. I'd say the week of the exam, do at least 3 of them. You're gonna get more quick at it, you're going to get more answers correct, and more importantly, you're gonna learn and remember the information. I took a total of 4 practice tests leading up to the exam. My scores improved drastically between these exams. The first one, got a 60. That's completely normal. It was quite humbling at first, but it's a completely normal thing. Not the end of the world if you get a 60 on your practice test. It's just room to grow. On the second one, I got an 80. On the third one, 85. On the fourth one, I made an A. So doing practice tests and putting your knowledge to the test is a proven method. So please, please, please practice that vocab, practice writing free response questions. Speaking of free response questions, how do you answer those? On your test, you're gonna be given a written DBQ and a visual DBQ. On the written one, just a written question, it's gonna have progressively more difficult questions below it. The second one is gonna be a diagram, a picture, a model, and you're gonna be given also progressively more difficult questions. For example, on my test that I took, I was given a model of different Asian ethnic neighborhoods that were based in LA. The first question was, name a neighborhood that has 2 ethnic communities. Easy. One had both Filipinos and Chinese. The last question, though, had prior knowledge. Not everything that you're gonna need for answering these questions is gonna be on the visual that you're given. You're gonna need that background knowledge. That's why it is so important that you memorize that vocab and the context. So for the final question, it asked, how does the process of redistricting affect voter turnout on these communities? You need to know what those things mean. Try not to be too wordy and try not to include unnecessary information. I believe that I did name an ethnic community in my answer. I didn't name it just now, but I think that I did back then. Notice the vocab in the questions and use vocab to answer it, plus evidence. Evidence and vocab, so important, and don't be wordy. You don't have much time to do this exam. You really don't. You only get about 25 minutes to answer both of these. That's including reading and analyzing and actually writing. Now it's digital, I think, which I think is kind of dumb. I really like written tests. In any way that you're giving your reply, don't be wordy, include vocab, include evidence. So with all that in mind, I hope that this helped you guys, and I wish you all good luck to getting a 5 on your AP Human Geography exam. And plus, my channel is fairly new. This is only my second video that I've ever made. If you guys have any more suggestions of what I should create, please put them in the comments. I'm so happy to be making videos for you guys, and if you want something, I will be sure to put it on my list. So please suggest in the comments. I hope that you guys like this video, and I will see you in my next one. Thanks for watching. Bye!